Welcome into On Texas Football. Time for Talkin' Ball on Monday night. I'm Bobby Burton, joined by Jerry Hamilton. Matthew Hutchison, our producer, is behind the scenes for us. Longhorns officially announced the hire of Josh Dunson earlier today via Twitter. He is the senior player personnel coordinator, previously the recruiting director of recruiting at the University of Memphis. Texas hiring him away. We mentioned that early this morning, and it came out, broke the news. The news broke a little bit yesterday prior to that from Matt Zenitz over at 24/7 Sports. Also, it looks like it's official. Tashard Choice is staying with the Longhorns. According to sources, Derek Foster is the new Cowboys running back coach. However, it's important to note, Clarence Hill, my friend up in Dallas, reporting that Choice also had interest from other NFL teams and chose to stay with the Longhorns. He'll get a pretty hefty pay raise for doing so. But, Jerry, one of the things I wrote on Twitter today and have shared with folks is Texas right now doing a great job of not taking any steps backwards. And one of the reasons why Steve Sarkisian has been able to keep this and build Texas so quickly and so fundamentally and foundationally, they haven't taken many steps backwards. And losing a Tashard Choice would be a step back, right? Right, Jerry?
Yeah.
They keep, and then on top of that, they go out and add other pieces to the off-field puzzle. We mentioned Josh Dunson. There's others on the way, et cetera. What are your thoughts of Sark's ability to retain and build and not take small steps backwards?
Well, I'll add this to the reports on Tashard Choice. There was another coach on the Texas staff that had at least 2 NFL offers in the last couple of weeks that turned those down to stay at Texas. And I can also say, whether they interviewed or didn't interview, contracts are being reworked, years are being added, but raises and bumps were happening based on the season. So everything was kind of already in the works in that regard. I've heard a lot of coaches sign their extensions already. I'm sure that'll be announced after it goes through the Board of Regents, whatever that process is, Bobby. But yeah, look, it's always interesting to me because Tashard Choice had legitimate interest in Dallas. Look, we were told by a couple of people that was legitimate. It wasn't a money grab situation. He was already due for a bump and an year extension, as were other guys on the staff. So it wasn't about that. He has a real special place in his heart for the Dallas Cowboys. And, I'm sure one day he will coach for them, but that time's not now. And, now he gets to go recruit 5 really good running backs in 26 that have serious interest in Texas. Javian Osborne at 40, Derek Cooper at Hollywood, Chaminade Madonna, who's a stud, Amari Latimer down at Sandy Creek, KJ Edwards, and then Xavier Crowell, who just reclassed to 26. But I think Sark's look, when you have a good culture at Texas is a hard place to be. If you have family, there's things to do. When you're on the road a lot and you're rarely in front of your family, Austin's a pretty good place to be for a mom and kids, good schools, right? A lot going on. Heck, you can go see your husband and give him a kiss on the cheek and walk over to the Moody Center and watch a concert, right? I mean, there's a lot of good things about the University of Texas being in Austin when there's a good culture in it and you want to be around, right? Because I can guarantee you this, Bob, and you can guarantee people this too. If it was a bad culture, guys would have been out the door.
No doubt.
That's the big thing. Yes, they're recruiting a lot of talented players, but you still have to like where you park your car every morning.
Yes, I mean that's part of what that's what I was trying to get at in part. But it's not just the coaches; it's been the players too. I mean, and I'll say this: I mean, winning is the elixir of the gods, so to speak, in some ways. But and certainly a part of it. But Texas did not have and has not had this great attrition through the transfer portal either. So it's not just the coaches that are staying; it's the players that are staying as well, in my opinion. And so, look, I think my opinion on that, Jerry, and I guess the one that you're agreeing with me on is what Texas is doing right now is winning Those little battles that add up
Yeah.
to the foundation. Again, Steve Sarkisian is trying to get this thing going forward, and every time he has to take a step back, it's a problem. Well, he's not having to take many steps back, and that's part of the reason why Texas has moved forward so quickly, in my opinion. All right, we're going to take y'all's questions, comments tonight. We're going to just talk a little recruiting. We got about 30, 45 minutes. We're going to go here. Derek Foster, is that the right Derek Foster?
Yeah, Cameron Parker. Where did you play in college? Because is that if you played at A&M Kingsville, it's a different Derek Foster. If it's a Foster, it's an NFL coach. That's really cool. You need to tell us about him, because there was the Derek Foster that played at Lamarck that went to A&M Kingsville. Still the fastest guy I've ever seen in pads and a neck roll in high school football.
Hey, did you read that another Lamarck grad, Jerry, passed away over the weekend? Alvin Franklin, for those of you guys that remember Phi Slamma Jamma back in the day, he played at Lamarck High School as well. He passed away, University of Houston point guard, from that. I was reading about that earlier. Also, Tim Campbell passed away from cancer, we believe, up in Tyler. He is the brother of Earl Campbell. He passed away, I think it was either today or yesterday, but somebody sent me that story. Our thoughts are with, obviously, the Campbell and Franklin families right now. That sucks about Tim Campbell. One of the first players I ever saw. He blocked the punt against Colorado, I think, in the Bluebonnet Bowl in like 1974 or 75, Jerry.
Yeah.
I can't believe
I was not born, so I can't comment.
Yeah. Oh, you weren't born yet? Wow.
Nope. Yeah.
That makes me feel. Hey, let's get to some questions now. We're going to take it from y'all. You guys feel free. Anything's fair game tonight. Josie, so are the players just doing workouts now, or can they be on the field? They can be on the field doing workouts, but I don't think they can have official practices. Is that accurate, Jerry?
Yeah, I mean, they can do whatever they want on the field without the coaches giving instruction. I think if they're sitting around throwing routes, anything like that, there's not coach instruction. There's strength and conditioning right now, and they will actually. We talked about this a little bit this morning on Coffee and Football, but Sark has given the coaches about a week off coming up here after this weekend. Let those guys recharge their batteries prior to getting back and getting ready and getting planning for spring practice and getting rolling, because long season, then go right into recruiting. Obviously, signing day's Wednesday, but Texas isn't going to participate in that. I will be at Nick Townsend's signing Wednesday at 10. He's already signed with Texas, but his ceremony at Decaney there's a lot of kids, I guess, signing late there as well. So I will be over to see be part of that with Nick Townsend on Wednesday. But coaches really don't have anything with signing day, and they're going to get a few days off coming up here after this week. It'll be good for those guys.
Good. They need it and deserve it, right, Jerry? I mean, It's been a long week for them. I tell you what, let's talk about some other stuff. Jesse, glad to hear Coach Choice decided to stay. Which coach do you think is the next possible hire by another university as a position coach or head coach, or by the NFL? Jerry made mention of this, that another coach for the Longhorns had offers. I know of at least 5 total that actually were approached at some level by an NFL team. I'm not saying they were offered a position. That's a different situation there. But Texas has some in-demand coaches, but Texas also pays their coaches very well. The question I have, Jerry, which one's the next one to go be an offensive coordinator somewhere or a defensive coordinator somewhere? Blake Gideon had an opportunity to do that, I believe, a year ago and stayed put. We know that. But I think that was more as, I don't necessarily know that he was going to call plays or something like that. He may have been a in-title co-coordinator, but he would certainly be one. Terry Joseph has been around a lot. Johnny Nansen has been a coordinator before. Yeah. PK, you wouldn't think Kenny Baker necessarily. That's not.
He's in the NFL. He's in demand by the NFL as a D-line coach, though.
Right. And so my take on that is, Blake Gideon maybe on the defensive side of the ball might be next up to go be a coordinator somewhere or be courted by that kind of league. Terry Joseph's brother obviously was a head coach in the NFL. at one point in time. On the offensive side, A.J. Milwee is the quarterback's coach at Texas and gets paid so well, Jerry. I don't know that he would go be a coordinator or get paid enough to go be a coordinator elsewhere, but he might be in line for a head coaching position somewhere like in the MAC or the Mountain West or whatever one of those types of conferences might be these days. Chris Jackson, interesting, could be something there, maybe long term. Tashard Choice, clearly, I think Tashard Choice's next stop. If it's not, I don't think it's going to be a coordinator. I think his next stop may be a head coach somewhere.
Yeah, he's going to make the jump straight there.
Like a head coach at Georgia State to start or something and see what he can do there and go from there. I think maybe even a Georgia Tech, if Georgia Tech ultimately needs somebody, something that where he has a tie to that, a strong tie to that community, I think would be helpful. Yeah. But I think he makes that immediate jump. Jeff Banks has interviewed for head coaching positions before. The tight ends coach at
Kyle
Texas.
Flood's already been one.
Kyle Flood was at Rutgers.
Yeah. Like so last year when Boston College was opening and his name was mentioned, I actually think had he been offered that job, he probably would have. I mean, it's hard to turn down where you're from.
What's he make? 1.4, 1.5 right now, and somebody going to pay you 4 or 5 to go be a head coach? You got to, and that's ultimately what a lot of these guys want. Now, not everybody wants to go be a head coach. I will say that. That's not a lot of coaches don't. I mean, I don't think. I mean, I know some coaches have no inclination to ever go be a head coach. They just like to coach their position, go recruit, and do their job. You know.
Yeah.
But which one? You know, you think on offense, if you had to pick one, is it Choice? Is it okay? Yeah.
Yeah. And on defense, I'm not saying head coach, but I think Kenny Baker is going to be an in-demand NFL D-line coach. And that doesn't mean he's leaving, but I'm just answering the question. Yeah.
Yeah. Long term. Yeah. Absolutely.
Too good of a pass rush coach. Those guys are at a premium in the NFL.
Yeah. All right. Here we go. Let's see this one from Justin Yarbrough.
Oh, man.
Let's hear some old recruiting stories. We haven't heard any for a while. We haven't heard any. I'll give you one. I went to since we were talking about Lamarck and Derek Foster.
Yeah.
I went to go see Lamarck High School, and they had 3 or 4 Division I players on that team. Alan Waddell was the head coach. This is before Brian Irwin took over. Derek Foster was the running back. And I went down there, and Jerry, I have to tell you this, the best looking prospect on that team, even though Derek Foster was the best player on that team at the time, was a guy that ended up playing. What?
Greg Robinson.
Yes. Ended up playing, 10 years in the NFL?
Went to
Michigan
Michigan State.
Holy cow. He started moving the sled, and I think this was back when they still had Prop 48.
Went to Michigan State.
Yeah, had to go junior college first, and then out of junior college went to Michigan State, and I think he started for the Raiders for a long time.
Yeah,
but that Justin, that's down your way. I know you're from the southeast side of town there.
I've got a Texas City story for Justin.
What's that? What is
it? This is basketball for me. So we played Texas City when Vernon Crawford was at Texas City, and I didn't see who was screening me. And it happened to be Vernon Crawford screening me in basketball. And that is the hardest I've ever been hit in my life. And he kind of smiled at me with his gold grill, kind of did one of these things. I was just like, my gosh. That was a time when I was glad I never played quarterback against Texas City or anything like that, because Vernon Crawford was a hell of a talent. And he was a physical player, Bobby. You remember watching him play running back, even though he played edge in the NFL or linebacker. And when he went to FSU, but that was one. I saw an old friend yesterday, Rob Lanier, that recruited TJ Ford to Texas, and we're kind of talking a little bit about TJ and some of that. He did as good a recruiting job with a guy like that as I've ever seen. By the way, I
tried to help recruit Vernon Crawford to the University of Houston when I was a volunteer assistant there in the recruiting department. After graduating from Texas, I went to grad school at U of H for a year and worked for them. And Vernon Crawford, and I'm trying to remember, there was another player on that school that was also there. We were
It was Tyrone Jones. No,
yes.
he was a linebacker.
No, not Tyrone. Tyrone's Texas.
Yeah, it was. Oh gosh, there was Larry Jones. There was on
I can't
Vernon's
remember.
team.
Right? There was 2 guys at that school that we were trying to recruit.
It was Larry Jones because he went to A&M Kingsville to play running back.
All right.
Here's one. Oh yeah, Blake Jester. Yes, Texas did not recruit Tyreek Rollison because nobody thought he was going to qualify, and obviously Garrett Gilbert's recruitment was done his junior year in high school. Thus, no offer to Andrew Luck in the class ahead of it. Tyreek Rollison, tremendous talent. Now, I think he's now, I don't know if he's the OC at Sulphur Springs. Unbelievable talent, man. He carried that team to a state championship, and he might have been the only guy that could. But he signed with Auburn, but they didn't even think he would get in, and he ended up getting in late, and man, that kid lost his patience. He could have been a really good player. David Rawls has a good one, Bobby. This is one of the hardest hitting guys that's ever played in Houston. Michael Clay at Aldine Nimitz. Oof. That guy.
I think was he on the same? He may have been on the same team as Dante Hall.
I think he was. This guy, he signed with Missouri because, again, not good grades. People didn't think he was going to qualify, but that guy would knock your in the dirt and helmet in the stands.
If you remember Dante Hall, I went by that high school and met with the coach. The coach was a big Bernice Simon was the coach at the time, I think.
Yeah.
And I went by that high school, and Dante Hall came up in the coach's office to me, and he was 5'9". I was like, "What?" It's like, okay, he's going to be. I mean, this is greatness comes in all shapes and sizes. But he was a tremendous player as well. So a lot of guys that we could talk about in there that are like that. Jerry,
hey, Blake Jester, I'm going to have to look up Tyreek Rollison's son. Thank you for that.
Yep. This one from King Kunta. Andy Staples from On3 predicted us to win the Natty. Texas a favorite choice of a lot of people. I was David Pollock, the former Georgia player, picked Texas to win the Natty. If I was picking right now, wouldn't you be picking Penn State though, or is that just my? I mean, they've got a third-year starting quarterback coming back. They've got 2 big hoss running backs.
Yeah,
you can tell they've got enough talent to make it work for them.
Just got Jim Knowles.
I mean, wouldn't you think they're but people, I think the Arch train is rolling.
Yes.
The Arch train is rolling.
By the way, I was told that the Red Bull thing was over 6.
Over 6 million?
Yes.
Wow. That's healthy.
That means he can do 15 a year in NIL if he feels like it. 15 mil a year if he feels like it.
Unbelievable. He's got to live up to it. You know what I mean? Now he's got to live up to it.
Hey, there was a question up here that I thought would be a fun one. Oh yes, David Rawls, the Glens, both Glens came out of Nimitz as well. Yeah,
Jason and Aaron. Yep.
Let's see, where was this question? Then we're gonna get to your portal question. Oh, this is a good one. Who do you think's the best high school quarterback? Who do you think was the best high school quarterback you ever saw? Didn't matter if they made it in college or the NFL.
Vince Young. He's the best high school quarterback I've ever seen.
Yeah, I would agree.
You know, now I think I'll say this: Drew Brees was a terrific high school quarterback. I didn't know that he would be Drew Brees in the future because you couldn't tell. Baker Mayfield was a great high school quarterback, but you couldn't,
I'll tell you who I saw in high school, and him choosing Major League Baseball, I think changed the course for R.C. Slocum. And when Matt got to Texas, was Chip Ambrose.
Oh yeah.
Chip Ambrose would have been hell on wheels in college as a quarterback, but he chose to go in the MLB draft, and him not going to A&M, that made life easier on Mac Brown. I really believe that. I think Chip Ambrose. Oh, well, Kyle Vodska, Kyler Murray. Yes, it's a great call. Kyler Murray was unbelievable high school quarterback. Unbelievable. Him or Vince are the 2 best that I've seen in the state.
Yeah, I think Vince was so physically imposing too.
Yeah.
Hey, he's the best
one. Before we get to the questions, because people keep throwing it out, what kind of QB was Adam Dunn? We both saw him.
Not very good.
Hell of
He
an
did not
athlete.
have great feet for a quarterback. I did not think he was a quarterback coming out of high school. I think I rated him as an athlete. Really good. I mean, he led Houston in stolen bases.
Yeah.
So he's a good athlete. Don't get me wrong, but he didn't have the feet for quarterback. He just didn't have those nimble feet, but more of a plus bonus athlete. I think he would have played in the NFL and he stuck at tight end, but he had no interest in playing tight end.
When he
wanted to
went
be a
on to hit
quarterback.
420 homers, he made the right decision.
Yeah, no, he made a lot of money. He made a lot of money.
What Odell James? There's a blast from the past. There you go. Odell James, a good name.
Odell got injured and wasn't as good his senior year as he was his sophomore year. He led Alden MacArthur to the state championship that year as a sophomore, but he kind of digressed as he went through high school, in my opinion. A lot of good names for blasts from the past there, Jerry. Samir Paul here. Is it realistic to think Texas can make the playoff and SEC championship game next year based on having a younger team? How confident? Scale of 1 to 10. Well, if you're Andy Staples or David Pollock, the answer is absolutely there's a confidence. Look, I do think that Texas has a younger team, Samir, and I think that a lot of prognosticators aren't taking that into account. 2 consecutive years of 10-plus NFL draft picks is going to drain any roster. What's interesting to me, like David Pollock's list. Let me ask you this, Jerry. David Pollock's list had Texas #1 and Ohio State #2. I mean, Ohio State loses a ton off this team. They lose their quarterback, their running backs, everything. They lose their all-time leading receiver. Now, they've got receivers coming out the woodworks, but how do you pick? I mean, as much as Texas and Ohio State lose, both 10-plus players in the NFL draft, how do you go back and put them 1-2 next year? I mean, that's a lot of confidence in guys like Arch Manning, who hasn't done it before, and Julian Sayin, who hasn't done it for Ohio State either. So where are you thinking right now with Samir is asking about SEC championship and can they make the playoff?
I'm confident on a 8 to 10.
Oh, wow. You think they're going to make the playoffs then?
Yeah.
Definite?
Yeah, I do.
That's fair.
Look, I think Texas is recruiting at that level. I think they have that much talent in the program. I think they'll add pieces, a couple, 3 pieces, which is a question we need to get to in the portal in the spring. When has Sark not done that? But I think the key is, so for the playoffs, the key is you get Ohio. This is kind of worked out for Texas. You got Alabama at the right time in 23. You got Michigan at the right time in 24. And you're going to get Ohio State when you want to play them in 25. First game of the season, probably Julian Sayin, assuming he wins the job, his first ever career start. New coordinators, new offensive line coach, a lot of new players. Ohio State's going to be a lot better late in the year than they are early. So it kind of falls for Texas really well, again, with the non-conference game. And I say that because if you can get that game, you have a 2-game cushion to still make the playoffs at 10-2. So I think I like Texas' chances against Ohio State next year because they just have so much to replace: coaching staff, quarterback, 12, 13, 14, 15 NFL draft picks. That's a lot. That's a lot in one off season. And you want it's good. I actually think it's crazy now to think about it. It's good to play them right out of the gate. They don't have a warm-up game. It's where you want to be. You have more experience than they do. You have more returning. You have more experience at quarterback. Now, it's a good place to be. And you also got a little revenge factor.
All right. I got a couple other thoughts here. This one's a comment real quick from Randy Etheridge. Have you ever heard Earl's tenacious story? He tells about his brother, Tim. No, I have not, Randy. But I'll try to get in touch with someone. Did y'all know that CJ Vogel, by the way, used to work with Earl's Foundation?
Yes.
That's something that I don't think he's shared with many people. But our CJ Vogel used to work with Earl's Foundation. Still does some stuff, I think, on the side for him. Blake Jester, Jerry, this one's for you. Any update on 2026 basketball recruiting, specifically Austin Gooseby? Y'all are the best. Austin, obviously, the brother of Trevor Gooseby, what we think is going to be the starting left tackle for the Longhorns this year.
No doubt. There's two names I'm really following in 26 Hoops recruiting. Austin Gooseby and Bo Ogden, obviously son of Chris Ogden. Bo Ogden's ranked top 50, 55 in the country, 6'5", 6'5" and a quarter, 2'3". Austin Gooseby, 6'5" and a half, 2. That's will end up being I think McDonald's All-American level, top 25 level guy. Look, he was just at Kansas recently. I mean, he's got everybody. I think Duke's going to offer him soon. I really do, or this spring. Texas is very much in it. I can't sit here and say I think Texas is the favorite, but I think it'll come down to Texas and somebody. Will that somebody be Kansas? Will that somebody be Duke? Will that somebody be Kentucky? They're all on it. I mean, and so that obviously it's a Texas family. It was before Trevor flipped from TCU to Texas. So there's a lot of things going for Texas. What else is going for Texas? Trey Johnson's improved. Trey Johnson's improved as a player this year. Some people say, what? Well, he was already great. Yeah, but he's gotten better defensively. He's playing better in the double teams, against double teams. He's reading the rotations. He's improving as a player. So they didn't just roll out the ball for Trey and say go. I mean, he's improved this year. Though a guy like that coming in and solidifying draft stock, maybe even going a little higher at the end of the day than people thought, those things can help you in some certain recruitments. By the way, in 2025, Texas remains in the mix for Koa Pete, the 5-star out of Phoenix, whose brother, obviously, Andrus Pete, the former first-round pick on offensive line. Texas remains in there on Koa Pete behind the scenes. We'll see what happens. He's damn good.
All right. Questions coming in here a little bit that we want to get to, guys. Chris Bennett, did Mac recruit Derek Strait? I know the late Sonny Tavis out of Austin Lanier was in the 2000 class, but never made it to Texas because of academics. Rip Sonny, yes, he did not make it. Derek was not recruited by Mac, and that Mac had just got there. Derek Strait played high school quarterback and safety for Lanier at the time. I was living in Austin at the time as well and saw him multiple times. He was a tremendous high school player, and Mac, they passed on him. Not exactly sure why. Part of it I know was academically there were some questions going into it, and again, that was a time when Prop 48 was a very real thing. So we'll see what comes from that, but that's Derek Strait. Kenneth Cassidy, Bobby, with what you know now, who are the two positions that must improve through the spring portal? I will say defensive tackle for depth. I'm not sure how they're going to be able to do that for sure. And then I would probably go, I'll go at wide receiver, but I don't know that I would say must, Kenneth. Like if you removed, like if you would say who are the positions that you would like to see improve, I think it's wide receiver and defensive tackle. Must improve, I think it's just defensive tackle. That's my opinion.
So can I change improve and to develop on one position? Totally agree on D-line. Tight end, develop.
Yeah.
Because Jordan Washington still is very talented, but never played in the game. Then is Spencer Shannon's development? Are they going to get somebody in the portal and have to develop that guy within their scheme? What is Amari Winston? So that position to me, as far as development in the spring, is going to be big tight end. I mean, Sark does say it's the second most important position on his offense. So as good as we think Jordan Washington will be, he's still in the development part of his.
Oh, yeah. He's young, Jerry. Yeah. I mean, they're going to be very young at tight end. No starts among either of them. So I think so.
Salty Q right. Kicking. Yeah, you had to remind me. Jose Rodriguez. Thank you for the super chat, Jose. Is it cheaper to recruit high-end D-line out of high school or get a 1 to 2 year proven player? I think you mean out of the portal. I think it's also cheaper to keep them. I do agree with that. If you're talking about the portal, cheaper to keep them potentially. I still think it's cheaper the high school route because it may just be one or two guys. The D linemen in the portal have a lot of leverage. It's such a premium position. I mean, the numbers being thrown out for Lee Hunter at Texas Tech tell you it's a extreme premium position.
Yeah. Well, if you don't have the issue with the defense line, if you don't got it, you're done.
Yeah.
There's no path to the playoffs in the SEC. You don't have that's one thing I will say is if you don't have that, there's no path to the playoffs. And so that's why they're expensive.
All right, I think, hey, Bobby, I think we're going to take a look at ESPN had a.
Oh, wait, no, Jerry, I got something else real quick.
Okay.
If you don't mind. Juan Garza says, is the hire of Alan Clark official? That's the coach out of Ohio State that was a grad assistant last year. And Jerry, I tell you what, this is what he posted on Twitter yesterday. Thank you, Ohio State, for these past 2 years and all the relationships that were made. Thank God. Thank you and thank God. Give me a chance to become a Buckeye. There is word that he is expected to. I mean, Matt Zenitz out of 24/7, who seems to break all these coaching hires, is saying that Texas has targeted him, but Texas has not made an official announcement. Neither has Clark at this point, but he is apparently leaving Ohio State officially at this point. We do not have a definite answer on that for you, though. All right, Jerry, what were you saying that you wanted to get to?
A couple things. Somebody put in a crystal ball or prediction for Caden Finley to Notre Dame. I'm not really paying attention to that right now. So
Caden Finley to Notre Dame?
Yeah. In February 3rd. We'll see. So ESPN had a way too early All-American team today, which obviously these are clicky things, but it's still worth mentioning. We need to mention that Texas had 4 players on this: Arch Manning, second-team quarterback, Decade Klubnik.
Second-team quarterback for Arch Manning?
Yeah, kind of. There we go. Got to get the name in there for the clicks, Bobby. That's got to get it in there. So we expect another NIL interview drop in the next week before spring practice. Jeremiah Love, one of your running backs. I don't think anybody disagrees with that. Stop hurdling everybody. You'll stay healthy.
Tremendous player.
Second team, Katron Allen, who's a stud. Nicholas Singleton, to our point. And Ahmad Hardy, Missouri, the ULM transfer, who was really good against Texas.
Yep.
Jeremiah Smith, Jordan Tyson, Ryan Williams, no argument there. Nick Anderson, LSU. I actually like the Nick Anderson if he's healthy. Max Clare, first team tight end. Oscar Delp, second team. A lot of top tight ends did go pro. Francis Malga, I saw him at IMG in high school. He was a no-brainer 5-star, by the way. Aoni at Penn State's a really good player. Jake Slaughter at Florida. Caden Green, the Oklahoma transfer at Missouri. That's funny. Spencer Fano, really good at Utah, backed up by Caden Proctor.
There's the one that I think deserves Caden Proctor at Alabama.
Yeah, he's a really good player.
He'll be a first-round pick.
Yeah. All-purpose Desmond Reed. TJ Parker, hard to argue. Colin Simmons, second team. Wow. Colin, use that for motivation.
Yeah. Not first. They ran all over Clemson.
This is why people are picking Clemson.
First-round picks.
Look how many Clemson players. This is why people are picking Clemson. Peter Woods, Dante Corleone, not from the family of Corleones.
There's one. There's a former Aggie.
A&M transfer, 5-star from the class.
LT Overton, right?
Zane Durant, Penn State. A lot of Penn State near Dylan Stewart, stud. Kamar Indian, Anthony Hill, first team.
There we go. There's a Longhorn.
Yeah. Yeah. Kyle Lewis from Pittsburgh, really good player. CJ Allen, Georgia. He's a boy. Son Tareen Perkins, the best pass rushing linebacker in the country. Indiana, a couple of guys back on their list. Jermon McCoy. He's a kid that is from White House. I saw him at a track meet. He signed with, I believe it was Oregon State. Was a really rail skin, but skinny, wiry, strong corner receiver that is going to end up in the NFL. But really good player. Then Chandler Rivers from Duke. is from Beaumont United High School. People he had 5'9", didn't test well. A lot of people passed on him. He'll play in the NFL on some level. Leonard Moore, obviously from Round Rock High School at Notre Dame. Indiana's got some guys back on defense. Caleb Downs, Ohio State, one of the 5 best players in college football next year. And then you have Rod Moore coming back off the ACL. Didn't play at all this year for Michigan. Michael Taft, second team.
There we go. Punter.
Special teams, place kicker. I think Bert Auburn was third team.
That punter from Georgia deserves it.
Yeah. Wait, is that the guy that tore his ACL against Texas?
I think so.
They're betting he's coming back. Barian Brown. That's a good return, man. Transfer from Kentucky. He almost scored against Texas if he didn't fumble it.
Yep.
So a lot of LSU flavor, a lot of Clemson, and then a lot of Penn State, Ohio State flavor.
4 Longhorns make the list. Arch Manning, quarterback. Obviously, Colin Simmons, defensive end, both second-team picks. Then Anthony Hill, the only first-team pick. Michael Taft, a second-team pick as well. So 4, that's not horrible. I'll put it that way. No Aggies or Sooners on either of those lists, Jerry.
Yeah, my
knowledge.
Sooners graduated. Stutzman, Billy Bowman. They are really good players. Really good players. They're playmakers off that defense. I got some talented guys coming back, but yeah, A&M. I mean, I'm not sure. Obviously, they lost all their D linemen. That would have been their guys.
Here's one from Jacob Luna, Jerry, for you. Jerry, who will be the third receiver behind Wingo and Moore? I had this. Somebody asked me this question today, and I gave my answer. I want to hear yours at this point. Is he on the roster today? Or is he in the transport portal coming out?
I think without knowing who the portal guy will be, if we just went with where we're at now, I think the guy who starts in a 3-receiver set early in the season, Parker Livingstone probably has the inside track. I think Jamie French will be that guy as the season moves along. I think Jamie French is going to be really, really good. But until that may be a better thing to ask after the spring portal as well. But as of right now, I would say Parker Livingstone will start spring practice with the inside track. He's going to have to hold off Jamie French and potentially Khaleke Lockett. I think Jamie French physically is going to be more ready than a Khaleke Lockett. I think they both upside on both of them is tremendous.
All right, here's the super chat from Beard. Thank you very much. Gentlemen, just got my OTF subscription a week or so ago. Love the content. Thank you, Beard, for doing that. What games stand out as a potential landmine next year? Florida may be much better next year. If Florida can get their D right, their defense, they've got a chance to be really, really good and one of the surprises in the country because I think their offense is loaded. Like, I think they're loaded. As long as
they got 3 good pass rushers back on defense. They're a tough team to call for me because they were banged up in the secondary. Eugene Wilson's an NFL receiver. He had knee surgery, missed the year, and it wasn't ACL. He had cleanup. If he comes back looking like an NFL player to go with Lagway and Jaden Baugh, to Bobby's point, pretty good on the offensive line. Not great, but pretty good. Good depth at running back. But that defensively, that secondary was really banged up. Like when Texas played them, they lose their best linebacker to the NFL draft. But they have 3 really good pass rushers on that defense. We'll see what they do in the spring portal window to kind of shore up some things there. But Florida, I mean, to me, this season, I'm not discounting Oklahoma. It's a rivalry game, but this thing's going to come down to 3 road games for Texas: Ohio State, Florida, and Georgia. You got to find a way to win 2 of those road games.
Go on the road 3 times in the month of October. I don't know if you noticed that or not, but Oklahoma are 4 times in the month of October.
Hey, wait, is there only one off?
No, seriously, Jerry.
Yeah,
4 times in October they're on the road. Florida, then they go to Dallas for Oklahoma, at Kentucky, at Mississippi State.
Is there only one off week this year? No,
There was one after the same. No,
yeah.
right there. There's one. So
Yeah.
September 20. And
No,
there
okay,
it is.
November 8th.
November 8th.
That's the second one. Okay. Which is perfect timing before Georgia.
Look, October, you get out October unscathed, you're in pretty good shape to play well down the stretch. I think that Florida game, October 4th, is the one that you got to circle a little bit. And then you got to go play Oklahoma the very next week. I think Oklahoma, the week before, plays an FCS team, by the way. So you know they're going to be prepping for Texas the whole week before. We'll see how that goes. Thanks for the super chat, Beard. I'm glad you're enjoying the subscription. If you want a subscription, by the way, to On Texas Football, make sure you check us out on ontexasfootball.com. We have a special promo code right now. Use the code OTFOG. That's OTFOG for $10 off an annual subscription to On Texas Football. That's OTFOG at ontexasfootball.com. Use that code and apply it. You get $10 off your annual subscription, normally $59.95 for the year. The best deal out there, in my opinion, for subscribers that like that stuff. Hey, Jerry, question from Kenneth Cassidy. Does Tyler Atkinson remind you of Derek Johnson?
I don't want to say he'll be that good because that's not fair to any kid, but he does remind me of him running around on the football field playing linebacker a little bit. He really
was he as long as Derek was? Like Derek was really long limbed.
Yeah, I mean, I think he's an inch shorter, but it's just as far as the athleticism, the tenacity, the speed, the closing speed, the quickness, the reactive quickness. I mean, if you said, hey, man, put the tape on, he kind of looks like him. I'm not sure he's going to be that good. You don't want to put that on anybody, but it's not that wild. The guy's a hell of a player. He's got 500 tackles in 3 years of the highest level of football in Georgia, in Atlanta. You're really fast if you're tackling people that many times in Atlanta. You close fast.
Field says, Jerry, who was the one golden triangle player who didn't have a chip on his shoulder? You know who that is?
They're trying to pull it out of me. I've said it before. I've never
Beasley?
given the name, but I don't want it. Huh?
Deion Beasley?
Yes.
All right, AJ XOXO. I'd be really interested to see where they try Michael Terry at. It's going to be wide receiver to start. People are saying he's a wide receiver tight end hybrid, but I think he'd get more PT as a running back tight end combo or as a full-time tight end or running back. Fair question. He's starting off as a wide receiver, though. And I'll say this, AJ. Let's see how he takes to this position in the spring before you try to start cross-training him too much elsewhere. Because that Sark's offense can be a lot for a person. Now, Terry, we think, can handle it because he's played so many different positions in high school.
Yeah.
Kind of like Ryan Niblett being able to switch from running back to wide receiver and back and forth. Well, he played quarterback some in high school, played receiver, he did everything. It's a little bit easier for those guys that played so many different positions, in my opinion. Champ Bailey, Bobby and Jerry, obviously we'll end the night on this one. Obviously, this year isn't a rebuild year, but more of a reload. But should we, as fans, temper our expectations because we are so young at quarterback and O-line and D-line? Right? Temper our expectations. That is never going to happen for a Texas fan base. Although, Champ, I understand what you're saying. Ultimately, Texas fans will talk themselves into, okay, we're going to beat everybody and go 12-0 at some level.
Right.
But my thought process is I do think that people picking Texas to win the national championship, I think that's premature. Like,
yes.
Whether it's Andy Staples or David Pollock or whoever, I follow the team as closely as anybody, and I would not pick Texas to win the national championship next year. I just not out of the gate, that's for sure. I want to see Arch Manning really put it on the line a little bit, and see what the offensive and defensive line look like.
And safety and corner. I mean, they lost two of the very best players in college football at those positions. They lost a Thorpe Award winner and a guy who, if you'd have said, "Oh, he's second team All-American," nobody would have said that. He shouldn't have been. They would have said, "Yeah, I can see it." I mean, they lost two tremendous players in the secondary.
Yeah.
But
I agree.
This is why you recruit top 5 classes 4 years in a row and now number 1 class, and you do well in the portal. Because again, the interesting thing for Texas, and I've said it before, it's not a knock on the linebackers that graduated. I think this is going to be the most improved position on the team. I think they're going to be better at linebacker than any time in the Sark era. You have Anthony Hill in year 3, LaFowl year 3. Brad Spence is a really good player, and I think he'll end up being an NFL prospect. Ty Anthony Smith in year 2. I mean, that is Colin Simmons.
Better than an Overshown Ford combo.
Yeah,
that would have been. That's the competition, right?
Yeah, for me, deeper, more depth, more versatility. I mean, Colin Simmons and Trey Moore is a hybrid linebacker at times.
Yeah. All right, that's going to do it for this episode of On Texas Football. Thank you all for joining us. By the way, tonight. Off-season, a little fun talking. We didn't talk much recruiting. I'm a little surprised about that. Jerry, we've got more of that coming on Texas Football as well. We have coffee and football tomorrow morning. Hope we get a chance to see you guys there. Enjoy your evening. And Jerry is off to watch something on TLC or one of those channels. Yes. I don't know if Real Housewives is around, but you guys have a good night, and y'all take care. We'll see you tomorrow. Hook 'em.